Sorry, it's me, Sauban.
Sauban. The second speaker? Is the second speaker here?
Nur Hanina will be the second speaker.
Again?
Hanina.
Nur Hanina. The third speaker?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the reserve speaker. I'm Ikram.
Ikram. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
And from Fulminar, can I know who is the first speaker? Honorary Sakila. The second speaker?
Najib.
The fourth speaker?
Today is not available.
Oh, Daniel Najib is not available today?
No. The fourth speaker, is not available,
Okay.
which is Rashid.
Thank you. Nur Amina, are you okay there? Amina?
Yep.
Do you want to try the time thing with your bow?
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to try to do a sound check?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I stop sharing
Yeah,
for the motion?
yeah, you can.
Can you hear my ring?
Yes. Can you guys hear? Can the others
Yeah.
hear? Okay. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay, you're good, Amina.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're about to start. Is
Sorry.
Azra here? Oh, she's not here. Okay, we'll wait for her. If I'm not mistaken, okay, Zara is in here already. Okay, so I think we can start now. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the preliminary 2, room 3Z132nd Architectural Students Workshops, first ever debate competition beyond. Today's match is between Fulminar from UTM and Karabat Uya from International Islamic University, Malaysia. The motion for today's debate is this House would support the Penang South Reclamation Project, PSR. Now I'll be announcing the assigned positions for each team. Karabat Uya will be acting as the government side, meanwhile Fulminar will be acting as the opposition side for today's match. We hope every speaker is clear in their respective team side. Now 15 minutes will be given among each team speakers to discuss among themselves using their own means of communication. Please note that the speakers must mute their microphones and turn off their cameras during the preparation time. Speakers may not try to communicate with the competing team in any way, shape, or form. The 15-minute preparation time starts now. Okay, the preparation time is up. So speakers, please turn on your cameras so that we can begin. Before we can start the debate, the speakers for Karabat Uya must state their speaker's position. Okay, it's okay since I already know your positions. It's okay. And then, okay. So now I'm waiting for the participants to turn on their cameras first, and then we'll start. Ensure there will be no disturbance to the floor of this debate. I would like all participants to turn on their cameras for this competition. I am Aimani Balkis and I will be the chairperson for this debate session. Meanwhile, Amina will be the timekeeper for this debate. This House would like to call upon the motion that Reclamation Project PSR. Now I would like to clarify the rules and regulations of this debate competition. For the substantive speech, the timekeeper will ring the bell at the end of the first minute to show that the point of information, POI, can now be delivered. Amina? Amina?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Should we ring? Kelly? So, okay, the timekeeper will ring once at the beginning of 6 minutes to show that the time for POI is over. Okay, never mind. The timekeeper will ring twice at the 7th minute, after which the speaker has 15 seconds to conclude their speech. Then the timekeeper will ring continuously to show that the time is over and any further explanation will not be taken into account. After both sides have presented their speeches, 3 minutes will be given to each team to prepare for their reply speeches. The opposition side will present their reply speech first, followed by the government side. Reminder, no new arguments and POIs are to be presented in the reply speeches. For the reply speeches, the timekeeper will ring once at the end of 3rd minute to indicate that the speaker has 1 minute left to conclude their speech. And the timekeeper will ring twice at the 4th minute, in which the speaker has 10 seconds to conclude. Finally, the timekeeper will ring continuously to indicate that the time is over. All debaters are expected to have a reliable and good internet connection during this debate. Shall there be any unavoidable circumstances where debaters lose connection during the speech, 5 minutes will be granted for debaters to regain their connection. If debaters fail to gain connection within the 5 minutes, marks will be given according to how far they presented before the connection was lost. A sound check will be done now as I announce the speakers of each team. When your name is called, please test your microphones to ensure you are audible. Please inform the committee if there are any problem or technical issues. Kerabat Uya will be acting as a government team with Mr. Salban as the Prime Minister. Are you there, Mr. Salban?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nur Hanina as the Deputy Prime Minister. Are you there, Ms. Nur Hanina?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. And Mr. Ismail Hakim as the Government Whip. Are you here, Mr. Ismail Hakim?
Yes.
Okay. Then Phil Minar from UTM will be acting as the opposition team for this debate, with Ms. Nuris Akila as the opposition leader. Are you here, Ms. Nuris Akila?
Yes, hello.
Okay. Ms. Alia as the deputy leader of opposition. Are you here, Ms. Alia?
Yes, I'm here.
And Mr. Daniel Najib as the opposition whip. Are you here, Mr. Daniel Najib?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I shall now introduce our adjudicators, which is Ms. Zara Nadira binti Shuhairi and Mr. Oy Chun Kiat. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I call upon the Prime Minister, Mr. Salban, to open case for the government. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening I bid to all, very honorable of judges and precise timekeeper, amazing opponents on the side of opposition, worthy comrades on the side of the government, and not to forget members of this beautiful house. Two things I'm going to do today. First is that I'm going to set the parameter on the side of government. Second, I'm going to, with regards to the motion that we support the Penang South Reclamation Project. But beforehand, what is Penang South Reclamation Project, PSR? The Penang South Reclamation Project is a project that consists of 3 reclaimed islands that stretches across the south coast of Penang Island, 40,500 acres of the southern part of the island, from the east Permatang Damai Laut to west of Gertak Sanggol, for the development of a platform conducive for Industry 4.0 based on smart city concept. Based on the smartlocal.com at the time of writing, the Penang state government held a master plan design competition in November 2019. It commissioned local and international architects to create a master plan for the island, that Malaysia's very own Dubai Palm Island, and located near Bayan Lepas and the Penang International Airport. The island inclusion is part of the Penang Transport Master Plan, which aims to provide efficient modes of public transportation to Penangites via new highways and an LRT line. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the stand of the side of the government? We tell you our stand is crystal clear. This house support the Penang South Reclamation Project. All right. Moving on to my next task, I want to signpost my team structure. What will I do today and what will my comrades do? First, I'm going to provide an argument under the key phrase of prosperity, which we're going to talk about mainly about prosperity or economic consideration. I repeat, under the keynote of prosperity and economic consideration. Second, my second minister will talk about smart city, and my whip will sum up all the rebuttal and all problematic argument from the side of oppositions. Ladies and gentlemen, prosperity. Why do we support the motion? First is that prosperity. The relevant goals in the aspect are as follows. First is that no poverty, which is SDG number 1. Second is decent work and economic growth, SDG number 8. And third is that industry, innovation, and infrastructure, SDG number 9. All of the SDG listed are interconnected as economic development contributes to long-term poverty alleviation. To begin with, Penang's gross domestic product GDP per capita and poverty reduction has shown remarkable improvements over the past 14 years. In the last 14 years ago, Penang had shifted from an import substituting industrialization framework into an export-oriented economy, mainly based on electrical and electronics manufacturing, E&E. Several clusters of development are built on reclaimed land, including many noteworthy infrastructure, industrial, commercial, residential, and leisure places. For example, such as the Bayan Lepas Free Industrial Zone, Straits Square, Gurney Drive, Wellquay, Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu Expressway, and many other industrial places. Penang's economy is growing rapidly from the past 14 years until during the 1990s onwards. There were several introduction of cheaper economics, alternatives such as China, neighboring countries, and other Malaysia states. Lack of innovation and suboptimal infrastructure support in Penang become some of the reason to reduce the capacity that can be transitioned into an advanced innovative technology hub based on its E&E ecosystem. This has affected the GDP growth rate of Penang negatively, not until the change of state of government conducted in 2008. After the change of state government in 2008, a strong focus was created in order to create extensive infrastructure that develops talent and to create a fertile built environment for an innovative economy to flourish. One of the initiatives to recharge the state's economy, one of the initiatives to recharge the state's economic competition is the transformation of Penang International Sports Arena, which is PISA, into the subterranean Penang International Convention and Exhibition Center, SPICE. Other than that, build escape theme park, the development of Batu Kawan Township, the launching of the Georgetown Festival annually, the building of Penang Transport Master Plan, PTMP, the development of Gurney Wharf, and finally, the development of the PSR project. Ladies and gentlemen, PricewaterhouseCoopers has estimated that PSR would secure more than 300,000 jobs, provide economic opportunities to 24,000 small medium enterprise, all right, and add more than 14 billion ringgit Malaysia to GDP per year during the reclamation and degrading. Moreover, another 20% will be contributed towards the GDP after the project is completed in 2015. In a separate estimate, ladies and gentlemen, the PSR will generate for about 70 billion ringgit Malaysia funds for economic development of Penang for the next 13 years. The design concept of the PSR has yet to be known, as the master design competition result are yet not to be announced. But looking at the point justification that I've mentioned, based on the economic prosperity and economic consideration, is enough point to justify that this house support Penang South. Excuse me, one moment. This house supports that. This house would support the Penang South Reclamation Project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prime Minister. The Prime Minister spoke for 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Next, let's invite the opposition leader, Ms. Nuris Akila, to state the opposition's objections with regards to today's motion.
To be or not to be, that is the question. That is a famous quote from William Shakespeare. So before I come into my argument, I would like to bid Assalamualaikum and greet to the chairperson, educators, timekeepers, the government team, and also my fellow opposition friends. So before I get into the arguments, I would give a brief guideline of our debate today. First things first, to clarify the Penang South Reclamation Project, several rebuttals, and then only then we are going to the arguments. Clarification on the Penang South Reclamation Project. A good definition has been given by the government team, and the way the definition given, we are accepting it. But as they say, it is a green project but as the PSR portrays themselves as a green project, is it really true? Or are these just words? So in our house, the opponents reject crystal clearly are rejecting this motion. But before that, I would introduce several rebuttals. Firstly, one thing that the government failed to give is they have mentioned the economic growth of the Penang increased rapidly. But what industry is it giving this economic growth? And another thing, why you promise that there are 3,000 jobs are going to be given to this to the people when this PSR is done? But why are the fishermen so scared? Why don't they want these jobs? So these will be later introduced to my arguments. Tonight, me and my deputy will introduce two arguments. For that, two arguments that will be given today. First one is the Malaysian fishermen would lose their job, and the second one would be introduced by my Deputy Prime Minister, which is ruins the sea ecosystem. And lastly, my whip would deconstruct our debate for tonight and basically tell us why our side is winning and more important. Okay, now let us go into the first argument, which is Malaysian fishermen will lose their job. Ever since the PSR has been introduced, fishermen has been rejecting since 2015 on this project. And why, I would say, the reason being why, behind the Penang economic growth is because of the fishing industry. While doesn't feed the GDP, but it's a key resource for the economy. In 2015 alone, 56.9% of the protein source is fishing. Protein source of the that Malaysian consume of fish, and another one, Penang is the key supplier of these raw materials. If the PSR takes over, if these lands are built up on these Malaysian fishermen place of fishing, then where are you going to get these fishes? Then where are we going to supply these raw materials? Not only that. Again, why are the fishermen so scared when you guarantee that will be a 300,000 jobs from this? This is why the opposition teams is rejecting entirely on this PSR project. Before I go deeply into this, any POIs? Okay, now further on, not only there are people massively rejecting this idea, a political icon, Nurul Izzah Anwar, is also rejecting the project itself. And she is known to be someone which has good political views. And why is she can be the stopping reason of this project. Not only that, the the stopping of the reason why the project needs to stop is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. While we see the vaccine rates are being more high these days, that it doesn't prevent from the COVID-19.
POI?
Sorry, I'll articulate that. COVID-19 being further a threat to the people. I'll accept the POI now.
Did you realize that the PSR project has claimed the Convention on Wetlands or Ramsar Convention, where the fishermen will still have jobs under the 514 acres of mangrove reserve? Quoting Nurul Izzah simply doesn't stand anything if you have not done your research.
Thank you for the POI. It's true that they have that, but what about the other? What about the lands that they've taken over? So what if there's 100 fishermen going to that those acres you mentioned? Are they going to have any fish left? So with that, I end my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nuris Akila. The opposition leader spoke for 6 minutes and 37 seconds. To continue our debate today, I call upon the Deputy Prime Minister, Ms. Nurhanina, to counter the opposition's arguments.
Okay, thank you. And good evening to everyone and the speakers. So the opposition leader mentioned about what industry, how do we boost the economy there and in what industry. Clearly, I will talk about smart city in my turn now. So I would like to talk on how what kind of industry that will be present if we support the motion for today. There's for smart city, it is a city is the economic center where there will be economic center usually is prone to be in built environments such as urban. That is one of the industry that will provide with jobs. And developing smart city is not only can increase the connectivity of the islands but it can give job opportunities just as mentioned as from the Prime Minister. And not only that, to begin with, the location of the proposed PSR project is strategic as it is proximity to the airport, just mentioned as the Prime Minister mentioned before. And it is a prime area for factories to ship products. And not only that, by making the smart city for PSR, it can increase the accessibility where the government plan on connecting the island to 9 bridges, and 3 of them are to Penang bridges, Jalan Tunduk Ta'awan and Pine Island Link 1. There will also be complete transportation system to the point that the resident there don't need cars. They can just use the public transport public transport built. Not only that, it will give job opportunities and modernize the mobility and connectivity. It will definitely boost the economy even more because, like I mentioned before, the location is strategic place for export and importing products. So thus, it will definitely boost the economy, not only on the national level, but also on the international level. I will give you an example of a smart city that is also starting from a fishing village, such as district of Longgang, Shenzhen, which is at the north of Hong Kong. It is a smart city that also started from a fishing village and now is known as the fastest growing experimental city. Not only that, it is also known as International Metropolis in 40 years. That is one of the reasons why I think that developing smart cities will boost the economy on the pace the Penang South Reclamation Project, not only there, but also to the Penang people. And for the fishermen, we never intended to even stop or took all of their property or such, making them to worry. They're worried for nothing.
Why?
That is why we support this motion for today. Thus, I raise my case. Thank you.
POI? Can you repeat POI?
I raised my case already.
Okay.
Amina, you can stop the timer. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nurhanina. The Deputy Prime Minister spoke for 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Next, I would like to call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Ms. Alia.
Hello, mic test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much to the chairperson. All right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a good day I bid to the honorable adjudicators, our timekeepers, the program recorders, and to the government team, and to my friends in the opposition team. Okay, here's how I will structure my speech. I will first start with the rebuttals towards the government team before reinforcing our substantive of what our Prime Minister has said just now, and finally move on to our last elaboration of our second point, which is that this motion would ruin the sea ecosystem of Malaysia. All right. So to start off with my rebuttals, the government team has mentioned how the smart cities mentioned how much of a benefit smart cities would contribute to Malaysia. While I agree, based on the example they use in Hong Kong, it did provide a lot of benefits. However, we should note that Hong Kong and Malaysia are very different in terms of their levels of development and the way they carry out all these plans of action. So I would like to say that smart cities in Malaysia, I do not think it would contribute much to Malaysia's economy because Malaysia is more likely to receive because of their tropical assets. As we all know, the traveling sector of Malaysia is very well known because of its tropical climate, tropical jungles, and all that. And since we are known as a developing country, we are not seen because of development such as smart cities, because all the other developed countries are already into that, are already introducing that way further than us. So I don't think that the introduction of smart cities would profit Malaysia any more than it would with our flourishing tropical climate. Okay, so that's my rebuttal for the deputy. And so now I will go to our first main point, which is how this motion and this project would ruin our ecosystem, our sea ecosystem. So as we all know, this is a reclamation project, and we can see that it will take over a lot of this would create environmental harm more than it would be sustainable in relation to your UN's SDGs. So there was another point where your UN's SDG states that it won't provide, there will be no poverty. But I believe the opposition believes that this project would actually also contribute to the poverty of those who are left out from the planning of this project, such as the point that our PM has said just now. So going back to the environmental harm, we can see that some of the negative impacts of it would include the coastal erosion of our land, the loss of mangroves and wetlands, which is actually part of an important part of our ecosystem, especially Malaysia, and the impedance of natural drainage and damage to the marine ecosystem. Sorry, go to you later. And so this large displacement of marine sediments and the development of mud waves and all that beneath the reclamation field would contribute to a lot of damage. For example, it would disrupt the ocean's ecosystem, it would lead to soil liquefaction, and it would pollute the water as a whole. So, hold on a bit more. So, as a country that bases its importance on its tropical aspect, I do believe that this reclamation project is holding harm, especially to our stakeholders, which are the people of Penang, as you mentioned, because the people of Penang is reliant on this industry. Okay, POI, accepted by anyone?
Oh, so you were talking about the ruining, this PSR project ruining the ecosystem, but we from the government already established that we are now considering the parameter for this motion will be under the economic growth. So would you like to clarify your points or argument again? Thank you.
I don't believe that any amount of rebanding PSR will, or the biodiversity of this project will make this project green because of its clear effect on the environment. It's, yes, reclamation can already be seen as a clear destruction of the land on its own. So, okay, thank you for that, POI. So I will now give an example of other smart cities that have been introduced in Malaysia, such as the Medini Smart City, because it actually has a lot of empty industries. It's already established. However, the industries there aren't actually growing rapidly, especially in Zone D, if your research was done. So taking this example, the smart city in Malaysia itself, we can see that this idea of smart city isn't really developing well compared to developing countries, developed countries, such as your example, Hong Kong. So yes, that is why the idea of smart city in Malaysia should not be in the main focus of our economic, rather than we have to focus on the tropical assets of our country. Therefore, I believe that the opposition's arguments fall, and that's why the government should take this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alia. The Deputy Leader of Opposition spoke for 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Next, I would like to call upon the Government Whip, Mr. Ismail Hakim. The floor is yours.
Test. Sorry to ask. Is there any noise, like any buzzing sound? Loud and clear?
Yes.
All right, very good. It's okay. Okay. All right. Greetings and good evening, I bid to ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor, my fellow opponents, my fellow team members, our precious timekeeper, and the adjudicators. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now discussing under this one topic. The motion for today would say this House would support the Penang South Reclamation Project. Under the government stand that we believe that this motion is valid and relevant because of the parameter that we have been discussed is under the economic growth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I move on further, there are things I wanted to highlight regarding both arguments from both teams. And for me, the whip from the government will be doing one things and one things only. I will be summing up the clashes between the points between the teams, and what we can see from our side, from the side of government, we still believe that we deserve to have this motion under inside our backs. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our first clashes, happens between the leader of opponents, leader of the opposition, and our prime minister. Our prime minister has stated the definitions, and once again, stressing out this part of economic growth, whereby executing this project will help the economy of Malaysia in the long-term run. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of opposition, they're mentioning about fishermen losing their job as the point that they want to state it. However, under the researchers of saying that one of the mains of PSR project is to provide employment opportunities to the people, not taking away their jobs. These people mainly consist of people in fishing community. Fishermen in the PSR impact zone has a monthly gross income of 500 ringgit to 9,000 ringgit, which differs greatly from Penang's main house income, which is around 6,000. So basically, the fact saying that it already has a potential to become a great city for that 3 islands, because the fishermen perhaps in the stable economic growth. Well, we are employing, we are executing, we will support this project under the concern of we want to develop it more, not taking over them and not having them to lose their jobs at the end of the day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the second point from the Deputy Prime Minister. Our Deputy Prime Minister, she mentioned about the accessibility between the islands and helping the products to move from one place to another. Basically, it helps the economy in terms of the production rate movement from the supply places to the demand. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Deputy Leader Opposition, the second speaker from the opposition, however, she mentioned about how this PSR would bring ruin to the ecosystem of the islands. Ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of things to consider. However, we are now speaking under the parameter of economic growth and not going beyond that. So we are talking about economics alone and not touching yet the factors of built environment or what's going to cost the environment yet. We are now discussing about how are we going to develop it and what's the impact of it. And they also mentioned about how we see the smart cities in Hong Kong is not as good as what Malaysia can be. That is kind of like a bold statement, don't you think? Because that smart city doesn't give profit to Malaysia only. We have 4 states that falls under smart cities project that's going on basically, which are the one in Selangor, Cyberjaya, Putrajaya, Melaka, and even Penang, including this project as well. And 2 of them even are included as our economic powerhouse, which already proves that the smart cities have given more benefits than the threat to the people, to the economy especially. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I give a summary, I would please any POIs from the opposition side. I'll take that as a no. And before I sum up everything, once again, we from the government side would support this motion under the definition of PSR contributes to more positive impact, more advantages towards the economic growth, rather than the threats of what's going to happen, rather to the fishermen or the people living in Penang, for example. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why we believe that government should win this motion for today, under the few examples that I have given before, which is that first, our Prime Minister has mentioned that it can contribute to a lot more growth rather than being a threat in terms of economic growth. And secondly, because of the connectivity, which also helps the people to move from one place to another, rather than we just discussing about topics which not falls under the parameters that we are discussing right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is all for me for now. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ismail Hakim, for the points given. The government whip spoke for 5 minutes and 36 seconds. Next, I would like to call upon the opposition whip, Mr. Daniel Najib, to present his case.
Okay, so can everyone hear me or see me? Am I clear? Okay, I'll take silent as maybe yes, I guess. Okay, so Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I bid to everyone from the government side and also from the opposition side as well, to the timekeepers and also the adjudicators. So I, as the opposition's whip, would try to sum up everything that has been going on so far in this debate, and also try to rebut a few things from the opposition side as well. So the first point that my Prime Minister said is about the fishermen that will lose their jobs due to the SPR projects. As we all, even though the government said that the SPR project will actually like give a lot of job opportunities to the fishermen and also like develop more on the fishermen themselves. I don't think it is right to actually like change what has been taught to the fishermen themselves. Like if we try to develop it more, then I'm afraid that the fishermen will actually like catch up and also change their ways from the old ways once they did. Yeah, once they did. I am not accepting any POIs for now. As the old saying goes, you can't teach a new dog an old new dog. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So if you want to develop the fishing industry, it is better to just leave it as it be as right now. It is it's still going on. It is still catering to the needs of the Penang people, where they can still get their food resources, and also nothing will be changed. So, and also from, if I'm mistaken, my DPM, she said also that fishing also contributes to the economy of Malaysia, including also the tropical aspects of it as well. So if you try to like change, it is, well, if you want to like build more buildings and also destroy the nature, which the environment which is currently available in Penang, then the one part of the economy aspect, which is traveling, since lots of people always travel to our country, would actually be it wouldn't be the same, and therefore the economy would also drop, and the chances of it ever going back up is very slim. So our second point is that I'm sorry. For smart cities, okay, I just remembered. For the government, they said once that they saw a smart city in some other place and not Malaysia, where it was from a fishing village to a smart city. But looking in Malaysia, in Medini, for example, it was also a fishing village, but when it turned into a smart city, there is not much going on there, and it became something akin to a ghost town, where I'm not accepting APL, I'm sorry, where it will become a ghost town, and not many residential areas were up doing then, and therefore there's not many people, there's not much activity, and it won't actually contribute to the economy. So and also the government side said that they were going under a stand of economic growth, but for the opposition side, we are going. It is not well. It's not wrong to actually look at it in an economic growth way, but are we really going to consider of actually not looking at the environmental way? Because if you want to like rebuild and turn it into a smart city of Penang, then
Why?
I'm sorry, I'm not accepting it. I'm sorry. Are we really like risking more climate change for economic growth? Since yes, money is good and also it can make us rich, but then what will happen to the environment? With then it will be like a city of steel with no green around it. It would be a very grim future based on my stand here. And we shouldn't actually blindly follow development that isn't actually suitable for Malaysia, since Malaysia is more akin to traveling and also to biodiversity. We should actually focus more on that rather than
POI.
no, I'm not accepting any, sorry. So we shouldn't really actually see it as where environment does actually play a role in economy. It does, where it actually plays a role in traveling. Right, so that's so as the opposition whip, I will actually conclude that we would actually stick with our points, and that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel Najib. The opposition whip spoke for 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for their reply speeches, and the time starts now. Your 3 minutes is up. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate will resume with the reply speeches. Let us now invite opposition team to sum up the case for today's debate.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry for that just now. Okay. All right. So, Assalamualaikum once again to the members of this room. So I am going to start with my reply speech on why. Sorry, there's some. Okay. So I'm going to start my reply speech on why the opposition should win this case. First of all, we are trying to protect the people of Penang, because the government's stance is more focusing on the economic growth of the Malaysian as a whole, and not really looking into the smaller people in terms of the ones who will not be able to take part in this in the development of this project. So the government has put an emphasis on the economic aspect. However, I think it is we have to put much more focus on the environmental aspects and effects of this project towards Malaysia, because we want a future where the future generations at least live, have the future to live in. So this reclamation project has the risk of being a disadvantaged environmental project towards Malaysia. So, and there was the government side also did not address on the COVID issue, in which we mentioned just now, and we are worried because we are thinking of the people, and they are trying to move forward too fast. So and there is also the risk of, if PSR fails to do what it claims to do, there will be a very huge setback towards the economy, the environment, the people, and basically the whole Malaysian entity. Yeah. And then to sum up why the environmental aspect is much more important, that should be considered in this case, is because we as humans shouldn't focus more on how to follow the developed countries, how to blindly follow the developed countries where it does not suit our in our rate of growth. To quote like to quote some, because humans, we are tied to beliefs and beliefs such as religious beliefs, where we, for example, it is mentioned in the Quran where we shouldn't bring harm to the earth. And it's also mentioned in the Bible where, in which those who fail to protect the earth will be punished. So we as humans shouldn't forget that that is our base guideline, and that is something that we should remember. So that is why the government arguments fall, and this is that is all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Alia, for summing up the opposition's team. Lastly, we welcome the government team to sum up their case for today's debate.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, these three representatives from UTM are fighting a losing battle to begin with. To answer first speaker from opposition, how long does it take to secure fishermen job opportunities? The construction work of the PSR will generate 5,000 jobs in the immediate 3 years period. This will provide significant monetary inflow into Penang's economy. To speaker number 2 from the opposition, all right, it is bold for you to say that smart city does not give profit to Malaysia. We have 4 states that falls under smart city project: Selangor, Cyberjaya, and Putra, Melaka, and Penang. 2 of them are our economic powerhouse. So what is your point? Check back your fact and have some research, dear oppositions. Hence, aforementioned justification, the relevant goes in the aspect as follow: no poverty, SDG number 1, decent work and economic growth, SDG number 8, and industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG number 9. And also by adding on by my deputy minister on developing smart city to boost connectivity and give more opportunities, and also to increase in accessibility, and also being added on by my to sum up by the argument and point out all the loopholes from the opposition surely justifies that this house totally support the Penang South Reclamation Project. Ladies and gentlemen, according to iPlan Malaysia, year 2020, the area of PSR is an unused area, falls under the local plan of Penang. Therefore, it is a waste to not utilize the area that could generate our economic growth. The opposition is so worried about environment and fishermen as if the fish will fish away from Malaysia, right? Implementation and adaptation. The PSR believe in their concerns and have laid out the areas where fishermen can still go and fish. Adjudicators and fellow members, for the 3rd time, I repeat, we argue under the key phrase of prosperity economic consideration. I repeat, under the keynote of prosperity and economic consideration. We are not talking about environment as we confident by implementing PSR, we will generate income because we are confident that by implementing PSR, you will generate income like moonshine for Penang government. Rest the environmental cautious need to architect, hence dear friend, as we already set the parameter. We're merely talking about economics here. We have the right here to set the parameter. Plus that the area of PSR project is a vacant area where nothing has been gazetted by the government for tourism. It's basically a waste of opportunity. Like, bro, you serious? Want to throw away the opportunity? All right, the development has already go through environmental impact assessment. Hence, this house have not moved an inch, and we are going to give a total support to the Penang South Reclamation Project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sauban, for summing up the government's case. Ladies and gentlemen, with that marks the end of the debate today. Honorable adjudicators will be directed to another breakout room for 10 minutes to decide the winner of this debate. Thank you. Okay, now I don't know if you guys do this in other rooms, but in my room, I do take pictures of the participants. So Okay, can we do that? Okay, thank you. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, nice.
Thank you so much, Chairperson.